Hey, it's me, Micah. If you're still here, thank you. Genuinely. Because I've been gone for a while, and I know I owe you more than just a hey, we're back. I owe you something real. So that's what this is today. Okay, here's where I'm at. I left my job back in November, and I don't say this lightly. It was probably the most mentally unhealthy environment I have ever worked in my entire life. And I'm ex military. I worked at the Pentagon for over 10 years. I fought in a war. I've seen some tough times. Anyway, when I left, I walked away with a plan. The plan was to go all in on this show, full time, build something that actually means something. And I had a partner, a friend who I was going to do that with. That didn't work out. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but what I will tell you is that it was impossible, genuinely impossible. And it was heartbreaking because this show matters to me. Aaron matters to me. But I'm still here. And now it's just me, solo. And you know what? I think that might be exactly what this was always supposed to be. Before I get into everything that's happening in the world, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind in a really good way. My son, 17, is in the process of signing up for the Army right now. If you know my background in the military, you know that hits me in a place that's hard to put into words. I served. I know what that path demands of you. Watching your child walk towards it by choice, that's a different kind of pride. The best kind. And then there's Ivan. Not my son technically, but close enough that it doesn't matter. I love this kid. 21. He's looking at the Air Force, maybe the Army. These two young men are stepping up at a time when the world genuinely needs people with backbone. I could not be prouder of both of them. Okay, so now let's talk about what's happening out there because it's a lot. Wow, right? I fully support removing radical Islamic leaders from power. We're talking Iran now, but we're talking anywhere they exist. When you have people actively terrorizing their own populations, funding terrorism across the world, making it their life mission to destroy Western civilization and specifically target and kill Jewish people, you don't negotiate with people like that. You remove them from the face of the earth and you return the country to its actual people. The world might rage at you in the moment, but history respects it. And the people who were repressed and the people who were oppressed, they never forget who helped them. Think about what happened in the last 18 months. Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of October 7th, the deadliest attack on the Israeli homeland, I think in my entire lifetime. Sinwar, gone. Nasrallah, gone. Khomeini, gone. Look at Yahya Sinwar's last moments here. Now, you should say to yourself, okay, that's good. We just took out a radical Islamic terrorist leader. Good stuff, right? Okay, here's the part that frustrates me. And this isn't about party politics, no matter which side that you're on. I care about outcomes for actual human beings. Donald Trump has a pattern. He makes bold moves, sure, positions himself on the right side of history, and then at the exact moment it matters most, he makes a deal. A bad deal. One that lets the bad guys walk away with more than they had before. Every single time. Let me give you the clearest example. The Kurds, the Kurdish fighters in Syria, fought alongside us against ISIS. They bled with us. They died for us.
A joint attack against one of the Islamic State group's prized possessions. Kurdish forces, aided by US-led coalition airstrikes, are attempting to retake Sinjar. The Iraqi city sits along a key supply route between Raqqa in Syria and Mosul. Some 7,500 Peshmerga fighters are attacking Sinjar from three sides to try and cut off support for the Islamist fighters. Around 600 Islamic State group militants are thought to be ready to defend the city, which is said to be littered with landmines and improvised explosive devices.
And in 2019, Trump pulled our troops out of northern Syria and left them exposed. He literally betrayed our allies in the middle of a war. The Turkish military moved in. The slaughter started. And the House of Representatives voted 354 to 60 against that decision, against Trump's betrayal of our allies. Not Democrats against Republicans. 129 Republicans voted against their own president because what he did was indefensible. But here's what makes it worse. You want to know who filled that vacuum when the Kurds were pushed back? A man named Ahmad al-Sharaa, former al-Qaeda commander. His forces took down Assad, and Trump didn't condemn him. Trump didn't sanction him, this al-Qaeda commander. Trump invited him to the White House. That's right. You heard me. Syria was taken over by a radical Islamist leader, and Trump invited him to the White House, removed him from the terrorist list, lifted sanctions, shook his hand, and called it diplomacy. I call it cowardice. I call it betrayal of everything this country stands for. Betrayal of my children, betrayal of our future, betrayal of everything. And then in January of this year, when al-Sharaa launched a new offensive against those same Kurdish fighters that we abandoned, Trump said he was very happy with it. He praised the man we once called a terrorist for going after the people who fought and bled and died beside us. That's Trump for you. Coward. Traitor. Now, let's talk about Afghanistan, because I want to be honest with you here. I'm not going to pretend this is a one-party problem. No matter how you felt about how it was going at the time, it's irrelevant. Trump negotiated the Doha Agreement. He sat down with the Taliban and cut a deal behind the Afghan government's back. Yes, the actual government didn't even know about it. Trump did it behind their back. He sat and met with terrorists. The people we were supposedly there to protect didn't even have a seat at the table. Trump locked in a withdrawal timeline with the terrorists, the Taliban, pulled troops down to almost nothing, and handed ex-President Biden a situation where there was no good exit left. Now, Biden made it worse, executed it as badly as humanly possible. Absolutely sickening stuff. And we all watched what happened. But here's what I'll say about that, and I mean this with everything I have. Even if that withdrawal had gone perfectly, smooth, clean, no chaos, people not falling off airplanes because the Taliban is worse, Trump would still be responsible for what Afghanistan has become. Every single woman in that country is enslaved right now because of a deal he made, because he handed the country to the Taliban behind the backs of the people we swore to protect. It doesn't matter how good the optics were. The outcome is what it is. Trump betrayed those people. How many good, honorable men who worked with us were slaughtered, their families slaughtered after we left? Sickening stuff. That's the second country Trump betrayed. Now we get to Venezuela. Let me tell you about Maria Corina Machado, because if you haven't been following Venezuela, this story will upset you. This story will upset you. Just a few months ago, January 3rd of this year, U.S. forces went in and captured Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela. The president of Venezuela. 13 years of authoritarian rule over. The people of Venezuela had been waiting for that moment for a long time. And the woman they had chosen to lead them, Maria Corina Machado, she won the election by a landslide. She couldn't even be there herself. If she stepped foot in Venezuela, she would have been captured or killed. She had to escape the country by boat in the middle of the night to not be killed by the actual government. She had Edmundo Gonzalez stand in for her. In 2025, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. This is after winning the election in her country. Now, it was completely ignored, and the corrupt leader just stayed in power. but she's the rightful leader of that country. The world recognized what she represents with that Nobel Peace Prize, something that Trump coveted. So Maduro is captured. Venezuela has a real chance at freedom for the first time in over a decade. And the woman the people chose is ready. What does Trump do? Does he do the honorable thing? Help her get back into power, become beloved by the people? No. He does what Trump does. He betrays everyone every single time. He dismisses her.
Yes.
Is the U.S. aware of the location of opposition leader Machado, and have you been in contact with her?
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President,
Do you have any hesitations about Machado?
Mr. President, on Monday,
Oh, I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect to be the leader.
After she won in a landslide in her own country, he has the sickening, disgusting nerve to go on camera and say that she doesn't have the support and respect of her own people. About a Nobel Peace Prize winner who won in a landslide. He goes around her because he's a disgusting, dishonorable, petty man and starts working with Delcy Rodriguez, an American-hating, Jew-hating, the actual vice president of the country, Maduro's own vice president, the number 2. The vice president of the regime that we quote unquote just took down. Okay. So we betrayed the rightful leader, allowed another evil dictator to continue in power. We've already made deals with her, and the money will be for some reason held by Qatar. Qatar. If that doesn't scream corruption, nothing does. So we've betrayed the rightful leader of the country. We betrayed all the people of the country in order to make money that goes directly into Trump's pocket. Okay. All right. So you captured the dictator. You had the chance to hand the country back to the people who chose their leader. Instead, you go around the Nobel Peace Prize winner and you work with the disgusting vice president of the regime. Same pattern every single time. That's the third country that Trump has betrayed now. Okay, let's get to Iran now. Now Iran. I told a family member just a few days ago, I support what we're doing. You cannot negotiate with people whose stated mission is your destruction. That's not diplomacy. That's not theater. That's them buying time. But I said, watch what happens. Watch how Trump ruins every good thing that's happening here. Watch how he betrays everyone. It'll happen. 5 days in, we already have a ceasefire. Trump declared victory. Iran denied the talks were even happening. How humiliating is that? He wants so bad to get the win that even the bad guys are saying he's full of crap. And how sad is that when you can't trust the president and you consider trusting radical Islamists over our actual president, over our government? That's pretty scary stuff right there. All right, so Iran denied the talks were even happening. All right. And when Khomeini was killed last month, the supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, who was the supreme ruler of the country in Iran didn't move towards a better candidate. They made his son, the guy that we just killed, the new supreme leader because they knew America would hate him more than anything else. Same ideology, hate, evil, destruction, conquer of everyone and everything that is not Islam. Same goals, same enemy, and we're calling it diplomacy. My position is simple. If you have a radical leader funding terror and killing people, you remove them. You keep removing every replacement until someone who represents the people comes forward. You don't stop in the middle, you finish it. Because when we don't, we create the next war. And that's a war my children have to fight or future generations. And here's where it all connects. Because while all this Iran situation is unfolding, there's a conversation about whether or not we can even stop the missiles they're shooting at us. The interceptors that we use, the ones that work, cost so much that we literally cannot afford to keep using them at this scale, meaning our missiles are so expensive compared to their crappy missiles that even though we're destroying them, we're kind of losing. We're spending a fortune. So now what do we figure out? Okay, well, who already has history of fighting these Iranian missiles? Ukraine, because Iran's been supplying Russia with these things. So you know what the solution being floated is? Ukrainian drones. We might need to go to Ukraine, to Zelensky, President Zelensky, and ask them for help defending against Iranian missiles. Let that land for a second. The same country that Trump and Vance stood in front of the cameras and humiliated. Remember when Zelensky came to the White House, and instead of treating him like a wartime leader of a nation that's been holding the line against Russia for years and commending him for that, a nation bleeding for the right to exist, they talked about his suit. His suit. That was the energy in the room. Dismissive, condescending, humiliating.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
And I can tell you, there have been a few times in my life where I have felt truly ashamed to be an American. The first was the fall of Afghanistan. Oh, that was Trump. The second was the betrayal of the Kurds in Syria. Oh, that was Trump. Don't we get it? It's the same pattern every single time. The third was Zelensky in the White House, humiliating, ashamed to be American. That's how I felt. Every one of these is under Trump. And now, potentially, we have to go back to that same man, our hat in our hand, if you will, right? Humiliated, and say, can we borrow your drones? Can you help us? The man who we humiliated repeatedly. This is what short-sightedness costs. We call that burning bridges, right? That's something my father taught me. Don't burn your bridges. I used to burn a lot of bridges. Not these days, let me tell you. This is what short-sightedness costs. This is what it means to treat allies like they're disposable. You don't get to humiliate someone and then show up needing a favor. That's not how the world works. That's not how any of this works. And we'll be lucky if they still look out for us after what we've done. Same pattern every single time. Bold move, bad follow through, and then someone else pays the price as usual. All right, let's get off this for a moment. Let's talk about something a little closer to home. ICE. ICE. Let's get started. How do we feel about ICE over here at Love People Enough? Okay, it's complicated, right? So let's start off with, I completely support the concept of what ICE is doing. And I want to explain why to start off. Because I think a lot of people who oppose it aren't thinking it through. If you're in this country illegally, there has been no background check on you. None. It doesn't matter if you've been a perfect neighbor for 20 years. It doesn't matter if you've been a good employee, a good friend, someone people love and trust. You could have raped and murdered someone back home. You could have tortured someone. You could have killed someone. You could have done something so horrific that people who know you would never in a million years believe it. And we just don't know. That's the reality. Let me give you a personal example. Something that really hits home for me. I knew a man years ago. He was a family friend to such an extent that he was at our Christmas one year. He spent Christmas with us, sitting at the table with me and my family. If you'd asked me at the time to describe him, I would have told you he was one of the kindest men I have ever known. Every friend who knew him would have said he was one of the kindest men they had ever known, if not the kindest. That man is now serving 30 years to life. Child pornography. Touching of a child. People fool us. People who are good at lying lie to us. That's what bad people do. They lie. They blend in. They become a part of your life. And you would stake your reputation on them right until the moment you find out the truth. This is why background checks exist. This is why we have processes. Not because we assume the worst about everyone, because we know that the worst can wear a very friendly face. And they do. So when people stand in the street and tell me that ICE shouldn't remove someone because they've been a good neighbor for 15 years, I understand the feeling. I do. I get it. But that feeling is not a background check. And the absence of a background check is the entire problem. And someone might pay the cost of that with their life if something's not done about them. Now, here's the part that I think gets lost. There are two sides to this. On one side, yes, get the bad guys off the streets. Continue doing that. That should never stop. On the other side, we need to make sure that ICE officers are properly trained, really trained, not just, getting exactly what they need and then moving them forward. You got to spend some time. You train these people extensively in the use of force. Train in the kind of professionalism that builds public trust. Because when they get that wrong, and sometimes they do, and we've seen the videos, it costs everyone. And then there are people out there who are literally running anti-ICE training, teaching people how to obstruct, how to make arrests harder, how to be difficult. These are real people doing real harm to public safety, and I have zero patience for it. If you put yourself in front of a lawful arrest and try to stop it, you are not a hero, you are a problem. But here's where the government loses me every single time something goes wrong. The moment an officer does something questionable, and I mean the second it hits the news, the response from the top is immediate and total. He's fine. They're wrong. The other people are terrorists. That's too fast. That destroys trust. What should happen is simple. What any honorable institution does. The officers in question are temporarily suspended pending investigation. That's standard. That's normal. They did something wrong. They are held accountable to the full extent of the law. They did nothing wrong. They go back to work and we support them. You say that clearly and you mean it. That way regular people, people who want a safe country, who support this work, can trust the process. We don't want witch hunts. We also don't want blank checks. And of course, the deeper problem, the same problem underneath everything I've said tonight, is that you can't trust Trump to handle any of this with integrity. Even when he does the right thing, it goes badly or dishonestly, or he half-asses it through at the exact moment it requires complete follow-through and dedication. Every good thing he does comes with an asterisk. Every single one. Look, I know that was a lot for a welcome back episode, but that's who I am. That's what this show is. I'm not here to make you comfortable. I'm here to talk about the world the way I actually see it. And I hope somewhere in that it lines up with something that you've been feeling too. This show is back, baby, and I'm not going anywhere. If any of this hits home, share it. Leave a review. Tell somebody. That stuff matters more than you think. And I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, this is Micah from Love People Enough. Please consider signing up for our Patreon so we can continue to bring you hard-hitting episodes and grow our channel to reach the widest audience possible. Link below in the description.